I want him to tell me the whole story. I want to hear him just explain the whole thing. I don't want him to say sorry. I wouldn't accept that. I wouldn't believe that. What I want him to do is explain the facts of it. I don't want any kind of emotional blurb. I don't want any apology for it. I don't want any kind of emoting about how actually, he didn't sell me out or him out or what have you, that it was just a job. I don't want any of that. I just want the facts.
I don't remember my godfather, but I'd hear the odd detail about this ghost that disappeared and left a void of sadness behind him. I'd like to know the story behind it all.
My name's Emily. I'm your mum, and Martin was one of my best friends. I did a lot of activism with him as part of Campaign Against Arms Trade and also Disarmed IC. Martin was a campaign coordinator at Campaign Against Arms Trade, and that's how I met him. And he was going to be your godfather. I first met Martin in 1999. It was during protests against the Defence Systems Equipment International Arms Fair. It's one of the world's biggest arms fair that takes place every 2 years. And we were down in Chertsey and we'd been blockading all the roads to the arms fairs, and that evening we had a meeting at a friend's meeting house, and I remember Martin being there. He did stuff like dumping manure at government offices, and he was very good at making fake blood. He had a really nice recipe for fake blood that was a really nice colour and consistency, but Martin was lovely. He wasn't like other activists. He didn't give a shit in the same way about the kind of like activist sensibilities. I never had any suspicions of him whatsoever. Like, I knew his family, I knew his wife, I knew his son. So, even when the revelations came out, we didn't believe them because Martin was so solid and did so much.
My name is Mark Thomas. I am a performer, activist, writer. I knew Martin as an activist, mainly for his work around the Campaign Against Arms Trade, which I was involved in. But it extended into other projects and campaigns like the Illicit Dam campaign that I was involved in. How do I describe Martin? A very likeable cunt. And he was just this wonderful rogue, he was a wonderful bloke who'd done this great, I was thinking, this is amazing, it's great, more people should be doing stuff like this, challenging the government, not letting them get away with it, not letting them get away with their legalese and their bullshit. There were all these little things which just sort of like didn't quite add up. My friend Nick, who is an activist who is incredibly sensible, incredibly erudite, is one of the most exciting activists of my generation. He just said, I think you ought to look at the evidence CAAT have got against him. And he always said that. And it just got to the point, and I just thought, I need to look at this.
I got a phone call saying this story's about to come out in the Sunday Times, and they're saying that Martin is a spy for British Aerospace. And I didn't believe it. And my friends didn't believe it because Martin did so much. I didn't believe that all that friendship, that any of it could be possible.
My godfather was a spy who was paid to forward over 1,000 confidential emails to BAE Systems, the largest arms manufacturers in the UK. He did this over a period of 4 years.
He was an undercover spy working at arm's length for BAE Systems. And at first I just wouldn't believe it. I wouldn't believe it because Martin was he was someone who was a friend. I regarded him as a friend. He also was an amazing activist. He was really one of the first people over the fence if you were charging at somewhere. He was one of the first people there. He was someone who's always committed to going the extra mile, something which I think becomes slightly sinister in light of later discoveries. But I remember when someone told me it might have been Campaign Against Arms, and I phoned up Campaign Against Arms Trade office. Might have been your mum phoned me. And I just started screaming at whoever was down the other end.
What do you think you're doing? Vilifying and attacking the person who does more work than anyone else. Are you insane? Martin, you're saying Martin is a spy? I tell you what, if BAE Systems are paying him, they should give him a pay rise because he does more work than anyone else. You lot are fucking you.
BAE Systems have admitted in court that they spied on Campaign Against Arms Trade. They've admitted it in court and taking a legal undertaking not to do it in future. We know that Martin was involved in that. Martin was a corporate spy who was sent in to spy on anti-arms trade activists. He became friends with people. He was incredible at befriending people. They really liked him. I liked him. I regarded him as a mate. He came round to my house, he stayed over, you know. He was someone that you hung out with. He was someone you swapped stories with. He was a good bloke. He was also an utter cunt. I remember walking down the street and just feeling sick in my stomach. And it felt like my body felt it was having an out-of-body experience. It was shock. Absolute shock. And revulsion at being used, and shame that I'd fallen for it.
It's really crushing betrayal. It just, you know, and it makes you feel stupid as well. Like really, like, well, why didn't I see this? Why didn't I believe it at the time? So I wrote him a letter a few years ago now, and I asked a load of questions. Which I never got a response to, and I didn't think I was going to get a response to, but I wanted to ask those questions. But one of the issues with a spy, with someone who has lied for so long, is that even if they spoke to you, even if they gave you those answers, how can you believe what they're going to tell you? I'd like to know if anything that happened was genuine, whether any of his sort of feelings towards me were genuine. Martin was one of my best friends. We did so much together. You know, we've been through so much together. I'd spent so much time with him, and he was someone I wanted in your life. I thought would look out for you. You know, like those kind of, even if they're nominal or not religious titles in your child's life. I'd like to know how he got into that work. I'd like to know how much he was paid. I would like to know exactly what kind of data and information and intelligence he was passing on about us all. I'd like to know whether any of that ended up with the police, and what those links are between undercover policing and corporate spying. I'd like to ask him why he did it.
In addition to an unknown amount of corporate spies, since 1967, there have been over 140 undercover police spies in the UK, spying on over 1,000 political activist groups, and have had varying sexual relationships and friendships with their victims, many still seeking answers, including my family. Here's a final letter from my godfather.
Dear Mark, I think to reopen old, deep and still unhealed wounds can only be a negative. I'm disappointed you would doubt the sincerity of our friendship. After careful consideration, I must decline your invitation. The memories of happier times together will always be with me. Kindest regards, Martin.